The HIV and AIDS epidemic has been with us for more than 20 years. It remains an exceptional global health issue, affecting the lives of tens of millions of people. Asia and the world goes for the first time to Latin America for the 17th International AIDS Conference in Mexico City, hosting more than 25,000 people.
My organization was selected 2 years ago to sit on the conference coordinating committee in preparation for the International AIDS Conference to represent civil society groups from resource-poor countries. In that respect, we've been working very hard to ensure that civil society voices will be heard through the conference in Mexico this year, and also to make sure that we have better mechanisms and processes for civil society involvement and participation in the conference itself.
I think developing country issues have always been sidelined in many of these World AIDS conferences. I mean, it's happening in Mexico, which is a developing country, so hopefully it will be less developed country centric. Specifically for Asia, yes, gender issues, although that's universal, harm reduction, we need to have our voices heard.
It's very clear what the Western civil society agenda is, but there are other groups and other regions in the world, including Asia and the Pacific, including Latin America, including to some extent Africa, whose agenda is not as well heard at the international level.
According to Gary Lewis, the IAC offers unique opportunities.
It gets our issues onto a national and international level. People who matter are seen saying things. As humans, we respond to that. We respond emotionally to a human face saying things that are important, maybe changing our minds. That happens at these events.
Until just a few years ago, the majority of governments remained in denial regarding the spread of HIV in their countries.
In most of the countries now, the denial phase is more or less over. Previously, for maybe say 5 years ago, major countries were denying, including India, saying, no, we don't have any HIV/AIDS kind of thing. That phase is gone. But now the second phase has come where people have now allocated budget, created institution to take care of the HIV/AIDS issue. And people realize this is one of the major issues where the major prevalence is. So the governments are taking steps, but still the stigma and discrimination is very high everywhere.
There are many high-profile organizations working to address stigma and discrimination experienced by people living with HIV and AIDS. Evidence suggests that their work will be made more effective with the support and participation of civil society groups working on the ground with their local communities.
People who are working at a community level really are the ones who are doing the work, and that is where the impact is going to happen, and that's what we need to capture. What are the challenges for us in actually ensuring that treatment, prevention, care and support are all fully scaled up to actually really reach out to the people that need it.
The UN goal of achieving universal access to prevention, treatment, care and support services for 80% of those who need it by 2010 will be measured in just 2 years. The reality now is that whilst HIV treatment has expanded, the need for sustained interventions continues to grow. After Africa, Asia, with half the world's population, is now seeing the highest HIV infection rates.
That's very clear from the work that we've been doing at the Asian Harm Reduction Network with injecting drug users. We know for a fact that there are about 20% of injecting drug users access any kind of health services throughout the year, and the indicators for that show that it's a very small proportion of those IDUs who can access those services.
Whilst sexual transmission remains one of the most important vectors for HIV transmission, there has been a largely hidden epidemic emerging in Asia. fueled by injecting drug use.
That's why it's so critical that the International AIDS Conference provides some space and opportunities for injecting drug users and Asian vulnerable groups to have their voices heard and to communicate their needs to the global community. As long as the dynamic remains hidden or ignored, the transmission of HIV in Asia will not be stemmed.
The meaningful involvement of civil society groups in the International AIDS Conference has taken different forms over the years. Health and Development Networks, or HDN, is an international NGO based in Thailand, systematically working to ensure that voices of civil society, particularly vulnerable communities, are being heard in such global platforms. The HDN Key Correspondents is a team of country-based citizen journalists operating in over 50 countries. At IAC 2004 in Bangkok, 64 KCs conducted issues-based reporting directly from the conference and produced a daily newspaper covering activities, evaluation and session content.
The real goal is to get people in your countries, the community members and affected populations and NGOs and real grassroots people, get people up to speed and get people engaged and get people understanding that there is an UNGAS commitment from the government so that they can then be involved in 2009, because 2009 leads to 2010, and that's the long-term goal. So the real beneficiaries are not going to be any big agency or any big regional or international NGO. It has to be local communities that are affected.
Money Pen is making a difference in Cambodia in confronting the stigma and discrimination faced by a growing number of women living with HIV and AIDS. She has been invited to speak at the IAC opening in Mexico City.
So far we have done the project called Strengthening HIV/AIDS Positive Women Leadership in Cambodia. So then by attending the conference, we would have a chance, to share about our project, what is the achievement, what is the obstacles that we has been faced so far, and why we come together to set up the self-help group or to set up the network.
There is often a lack of leadership and involvement.
China, too, faces particular challenges, such as with the human rights of sex workers.
We need to be able to participate legally and safely. I think in many of the countries, we do not recognize, for example, in China, we do not recognize sex workers. We call them employees in the entertainment sector. So they don't have the legal right and the legal safety to be able to participate in some of the processes.
In Malaysia, MSM issues have a long way to go.
Any MSM activity is considered illegal, unnatural sex, and they can't do any proper effective outreach work at saunas, gay pubs and things like that.
The message is, I think, the problem of injecting drug use and HIV have far too long been ignored. And it's now time that we really put our heads and hearts together to make a real difference.
You, as an activist, also need to enhance your skill and knowledge. Because at that conference, we can learn what is the newest issue, what is the new situation, what the news gossip.
What do I hope from this conference? Let's say my expectation. First, I think that the world will pay more attention or listens to the voice of the community people, especially to the women living with HIV/AIDS.
Do whatever you want to do, but saving life is the most important first. And keep saving life, and let's enjoy life together. That's all.